Welcome back, and just in case you're just joining us, this is still Signature Morning on Signature TV, and my name is Godwin Sunday. We'll be taking the conversation to another level right now. We'll be talking with Mr. Honorable Simeon Toluwani Burkini, who is a senior legislative aide to the Senate President. I'll be talking about the situation of Nigeria, even from the legislative point of view. You're welcome to Signature Morning,
Thank
Honorable.
you. Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, Honorable, people will ask that what is the 10th Assembly doing right now, even to address some of the economic hardship that we're currently experiencing in the country?
Well, thank you very much. In the past few months, for most who are on ground in their constituency, most of the parliamentarians, senators, and members of House of Reps have been uh, trying their best to ameliorate the situation in their various constituencies by way of giving empowerment, by way of giving palliatives, by way of providing succor in different ways. I see, I hear, I know that even Mr. President of the Senate was in Uyo to do that a few months ago at the stadium. It was massive. I know that the Senate leader, uh, Senator Bamidele Koyemi, has also been doing a lot of that in his constituency in Ekiti. Over the weekend, he had a level of a kind of medical outreach to his people. A few months ago or so, he gave, like most of them have done, he gave farmers a lot of agricultural support. Uh, they also reached out to the widows, to the aged, and to the youth. They are doing their own, and of course, you can also see that in many ways. Just yesterday, what happened, how the Senate had to sack our man who has also had his own issues. So they are doing their best to ameliorate poverty and, of course, to also cushion the effects of the situation in our country.
So, you've mentioned, highlighted a lot of things that the Nigerian Senate is currently doing, but Nigerians in general will want to ask the best so far. Is it really the best that the Senate and the Nigerian National Assembly can give?
Well, you should know that I cannot speak uh, so much. I'm not the spokesman of
Yeah.
the Senate. I'm not the spokesman of the President of the Senate either. But as a citizen who is also conversant with what is happening, so many things people do. We only talk so much. I've served as a member of the House of Assembly before. People concentrate on what is not being done, but there is little emphasis on what is being done. I can tell you for free that majority of our legislators are doing their best. Most of the time, they go out of their ways to also add their own personal resources to cushion the effect. I remember that because I follow the trend. I know that some of them, if they have to give 5,000 maybe to their constituents, they know that 5,000 items in Coke may not be enough. They go extra miles to get 2,000 more or get double that number to ensure that they give their constituents. But people will be patient because everything is a matter of time. Things are getting, it's not as bad as it is portrayed sometimes. Yes, at the times, everybody is feeling the heat, but it is a matter of time because all of these will, of course, be abated very soon.
All right, Honorable, I sincerely apologize for throwing that question at you because I know to a large extent you're not the spokesperson for the Nigerian National Assembly. But then, as a former honorable member, which you were,
Yes.
that's why I threw that question at you to know, to do a comparative analysis so that we can bring in perspective. All right, so let's get into the conversation further. Your principal in the person of Gospel Obot Akpabio has recently spoke about the lead, what they call it, NEWS, that's legislative Legislative and Democratic International Institute for Legislative and Legislative
Democratic
Studies.
Studies.
Yes, NILT, he has come out to support what they do. You want to talk to us about what these institutions do and also what your principal have said, and does the trainings that they do in most of these things before people become legislative officers, does it the generality of the Senate process and legislative process in Nigeria, and by extension, does it narrow down to the state level of legislative practices?
Well, when I was in the House of Assembly, NILTs, they have relationships with state houses of assembly. I've been part of about 2 or 3 trainings conducted at the state assembly by NILTs, and NILTs is doing a great job. Is a very pragmatic study institute where people go to learn. I know they collaborate with the National Assembly for inauguration trainings and retreats. Even in the course of the session, most of the committees have relationships with them. For us who are legislative aides, some of us also have opportunities to learn at NILT, have further studies, different master's courses, different diploma courses, and the knowledge. Recently, I was also part of a training that was conducted for senior legislative aides, and the knowledge that is being impacted is unequal. They have one of the best and seasoned lecturers, tutors, instructors who come to break some of these things down to us, and I must say that it is highly commendable, and the relationship, of course, has existed for a while, and it will only get better.
Does it translate to the state and even local governments in terms of what they've been, what has been tutored or taught in NILT? Does it even translate to the legislative process?
Yes, like I did say.
Because why I'm asking that question is because we're trying to do a critical assessment. You've been an honorable member, and by extension, you are a senior legislative aide to the number 3 citizen of Nigeria. So we're trying to do a critical analysis of some of the institutionalization that even members of the National Assembly have gone through, and how well these institutions have been able to translate their knowledge and impact knowledge that can affect the grassroots to a very large extent.
Yes, one of the things I learned when I was serving as a member of the House of Assembly, and one of the trainings we had with NILT was that you must ensure that your constituency offices is functional, and that is one thing you cannot take away from legislators. Every legislator must have functional constituency offices, and of course, because of one of those trainings, they specifically told us the advantages of running such. You get feedback from your people, they have access to you. Everybody cannot come to Abuja in case for those who are in the House of Reps, but if you are in a state assembly, the state capital is probably going to be, that's where your offices would be, but your constituency offices must be in your constituency. So those feedback mechanisms, sometimes people give, the people who have this level of oversight and just take it with levity, but NILT lets you know how it should be run. They even give us some level of what you can call a framework to ensure that you run some of those programs. Of course, I also encourage that you have town hall meetings. They have this framework that has been drafted over the time that you must engage. So I can say that at the state level, at the federal level, the job is being done, and it's a whole lot of advantage. Every legislature must learn from NILT because they have done this for years. They're on site, they're on the field, and they interact with present and past lawmakers. So they have a lot of experience to share.
All right, let's bring this question again back home at this point in time. Your principal, in the person of Godswill Obot Akpabio, when he was the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, a lot was recorded. He was known to be a man of vision, a man of too much caliber, because if you get to Akwa Ibom, you'll be able to pinpoint. But of late, as a Senate president, it tends to be a little bit slow with the policies, and we're not seeing those effective pushing policies like Akpabio, that we know him to be Akpabioism, which is like an ideology in the Akwa Ibom state at that point in time. But tell us, are we wrong to think that there are no effective policies coming out from the 10th Assembly right now?
Let me say again,
All
I
right.
am not the spokesman of the President of the Senate, and I cannot speak with authority on some of these things. But let me also let you know that for the position of a governor and position of the President of the Senate are two different ball games. We are talking about two different arms of government. So somebody who was able to personally drive, some things as a governor, doesn't mean that he has so much to, he would be able to do exactly that as a Senate president. He leads a people. It's not a one-man show. It's a teamwork. He has 109 senators who is first among equals. So there are things he cannot unilaterally do. There are things that the committee of the whole must come together to do. The House of Assembly, the state, the House of Reps, the Senate, work through committee stages. So there are committees of the whole, there are committees through which the Senate functions. So you must look at it holistically. You cannot just bring him out. You must also know he's not the president of the country, he's the president of the Senate. You talk about policies. I must say that this government enjoys so much relationship, very good relationship between the legislative and the executive arm of government, and there's a lot of check and balances, as that you cannot take away. So for me, I think he's doing a great job. Nigerians, this admin is just one. The Senate, the 10th Senate is just 1 year plus, and we must be patient because many things, foundations are being laid. The executive has an agenda. What the legislature has to do is to work with the agenda of the executive. So they cannot run separate ways. They have to run the same way. So anything that comes from the executive, the Senate, and the National Assembly looks at them critically, and they work together. So for me, I think the 10th Senate has made progress. You are not in the position, like I said, to speak for them and speak on the scorecard. But I must say that there's a lot of progress, except we want to deceive ourselves. But we must know that foundations are being laid by this administration, by the president of the country. And in terms of where we started this conversation from, in terms of ameliorating the situation of things, cushioning the effect for Nigerians, for constituents, I think the 10th Senate they are doing greatly. In fact, agriculture is one area I know that they are investing so much in. I know that my boss loves agriculture, is doing so much in agriculture. It's not every time he has to bring everything to the media, but he's investing so much in agriculture for his people. And most senators have also looked into that area, and they are doing so much. Foundations, I said, are being laid. And when foundation has been laid, you don't see the building. But usually have to wait for the next few months, and we're going to see a lot of these things build up.
So we should take you by your word that in the next few months we're going to see manifestations of some sort, or we're going to see some magic that will happen.
Well, I didn't say magic.
All right, so let's talk about critically Nigeria. Let's even look at Nigerians right now. I'm asking some of this question a bit. Let's get Nigerians' own opinions on this issue. Do you think that Nigerians at this point should tilt towards a particular line? You've mentioned agriculture. Should we tilt towards a particular line right now, even from the executive? Are there faults in the line that can further create a gap between policies in practice and policies in theory, in realities?
Well, if I get you right, just yesterday,
All right.
our brother and friend, the Honorable Minister of Youth Development, on behalf of the federal government, has announced that NYSC would henceforth deploy corps members to their areas of specialization. It has been how many years since we had NYSC? This is the first time a government is looking in towards that direction. Now, if somebody reads education, why post them to the bank? Why not let them work there? If somebody who studied industrial chemistry, what are they going to do in a school, you know? So the point is that with this little policy that happened yesterday, it's obvious that this government is conscious of looking into the future for this generation. I must also let you know that, okay, you would recall that Mr. President also established the Ministry of Livestock Development, under which is you would take as a part of agriculture. But now we are looking at livestock as an area to boost the agricultural effect, to boost the impact on people, on farmers. I do some poultry. I have some chicken I raise. I have pigs. I have my pig farm. I also do fishery. I've done these things for years. I must tell you, the chicken I had last night is from my farm. So every Nigerian must begin to look into that direction. The egg I eat in my house back home are eggs from my farm. So I must let you know that everybody must begin to look into the area of agriculture. If everyone takes interest in farming, things will get better. You understand? And over the time, I have interest in tomatoes. For instance, last year we had some serious situations with tomato farming, and ahead of next year, I'm already thinking there is a period of the year that is like tomatoes get scarce. I'm looking at what I can do to ensure that I'm positioned ahead of that time. So all of us must begin to look at not depending on government for everything. We must begin to look at being responsive and responsible citizens for ourselves, not because of the president, not because of the party in government, but for our own servant family.
Honorable, I think we need to let you go at this point, but we'll have to bring you back again because there's a lot of conversation that we cannot exhaust right here on this table, but we'll have to bring you back again.
Thank you
so much for being a part of the show this morning.
It is my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so I'm speaking with Honorable Simeon Mborokini, who has been speaking with us on some of issues in Nigeria and how best to address those issues. Do remember you can join the conversation on our various social media handles. Should you want to do that right away, our social media handles are displayed on the screen. I am Godwin Sunday. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. From all of us here in the studio, it's bye for now.